My own daughter kicked me out for her husband. Here's what happened. Please like and subscribe YouTube channel. It was breeze was biting on November air. It was a frost of a daughter air, a half-body frozen brutality. My breath was a specter of the warmth that once filled my life but had curdled and died. A warmth blighted just as surely as the dim, guttering street lamp that hung above my head. I am a specter haunting the periphery of a city that knew me once as a mother, a friend, a woman with a home. Now, I am just another specter on a bench in a park waiting for the dawn that brings nothing but another day of unbearable oppression. It was Lily who put me here. My Lily, my girl, the same one I had carried for 9 months, nurtured for 25 years, and loved with fierce insanity. I was her son and she my universe, or so I believed. As it is with most tragedies, our story started with infinite love. Lily was just 5 when my husband, Arthur, died. Cancer, swift and unforgiving. He left me an empty space in my bed, a bloody hole in my heart, and a bright, inquisitive little girl with eyes full of question that only I could answer. I took on the roles of both mother and father, both provider and defender. I had 2 jobs, 3 sometimes, cleaning homes, tutoring children, anything to keep our little cottage in Willow Creek. Just a little, but still ours, reeking of laughter, warm bread out of the oven, and Lily's toddler drawings stuck onto the fridge with tape. Lily was an intelligent, stylish young girl. Her hair was golden like spun gold. It cascaded down her back. She had a smile that could melt the coldest of hearts. I sunk everything I had into her. Her education was paramount. I starved myself of new clothes and nights on the town and even small indulgences so that she could have the best. Private school followed by a scholarship to an excellent university, with a bit of the savings for books and cost of living. I swelled with pride with every accomplishment, every play she was in, every award she received. I could just tell that she was going to change the world. She would do great, be happy, and never have to struggle like I did. Then came Mark Thorne. He blew into Lily's life during her last year of college, a storm of charisma and cash and dreams. He was unarguably good-looking, with sharp eyes and an effortless laugh that disarmed me at the start. His roots were old money, his family in real estate, and he carried an easy entitlement air. There, in full sight of my sweet, grounded Lily, who was now entranced, I noticed the difference in her within seconds. Subtle at first. She began wearing different clothes at a higher price. Suddenly the topic of her conversations were no longer about her studies or her dreams, but Mark's endeavors, Mark's yacht, Mark's plans for their future. Every time I raised my concerns in such soft-spoken words, a shadow would cross her face. I thought you didn't understand how our life had transformed, Mom, she'd say, a faint defense evident in her tone. He's different. He gets me. I tried. I really did. I had them over for dinner, tried to talk to Mark. He was courteous, if not excessively so, and yet there was an undertow of something I could not name, a calculating sparkle in his eyes when he glanced at our modest cottage, a slight scorn in his voice when he referenced anything not oozing with affluence. He would frequently joke about my cottage being quaint or rustic, a not too thinly veiled dig about our financial status. However, Lily would laugh then, a fresh, brittle laugh, and how she would make me restrain my tongue. She became engaged a year after graduation. A robin egg-sized diamond. Wait. A country club affair where instead I was an outsider looking in at a room full of sparkling faces. I smiled. I toasted. But my belly was a ball of terror. Lily had said a few months prior to the wedding, her eyes shining with starry-eyed hope. "We need a home, Mom. Mark desires more than that, somewhere that we can host people. But the market, even with his family helping out, we can barely afford anything nice. My place, my sanctuary, my most valuable possession, was free and clear and had quietly gained value over the years. It was humble, but it was with me, my safety net, my legacy. Basically, I was reminded of the day I might retire, which was still years away, but the idea of selling it had always been a faraway, last resort option. And then I see the hope on Lily's face, hope that mirrors my own hope and dreams from a long time ago. This was her moment, her big kickoff, and her mother, was to be the one to help her accomplish it. I couldn't sell the cottage. I heard myself say, the words sounding almost ghostly echoey in the stillness of the living room. Part of me was crying out for sanity, for self-preservation, but the other, bigger part, the mother part, had eyes only for Lily's happiness. Lily's face lit up. "Oh, Mom, really? That would be amazing. Your equity would help a ton. Mark says we'd be able to put a large deposit on that new build in the Highlands. Very modern, very contemporary, fantastic views. You'd love it, Mom." Mark, of course, pitched it as a sound investment. "Coat your mind with it, Ilara," he'd said, his arm folding around Lily, his smile glossy. "Combining our resources. A beautiful suite in our new home. No more upkeep or taxes to worry about. You're joining a real family estate, not some ancient old cottage." I heard the undertones of, "My house was a clutch or worse, not a sanctuary," in his words. So I sold it. The sale was quick, maybe too quick, because Mark was determined to strike while the iron was hot. So I watched the sold sign go up, a little piece of heart tearing away with that too. All of those memories, those laughs, those tears out in those walls are just memories like ghosts. There went all of my life savings, along with a huge chunk of the equity from the cottage, as the down payment to Lily and Mark's sprawling, minimalist mansion built in the Highlands. They referred to it as a family investment. I called it a sacrifice. My suite was just a little room off the kitchen that had once been designed for a housekeeper. It had a makeshift bathroom attached to it that was the size of a closet, but there wasn't any space to exist, let alone privacy beyond the four walls. It was functional, pristine, yet barren. Even no window to look out other than at the neighbor's fence. I brought home a few precious pictures of Arthur and Lily, my favorite old armchair, and a miniature library. I spent the first few months hiding. I cooked and cleaned and ran errands, trying to do my part to earn my keep, though Mark had told me, "You are family, Ilara. You do not have to do a thing." Yet the eyes, those shrewd little turds, always evaluating, always computing, had a different narrative to share. Even Lily started to change towards me. Her overly gratefulness soon turned into a casual expectation. My suggestions were ignored. My existence frequently brushed under the carpet. Mark began to throw more and more subtle jabs. "Ilara, did you lock the back door properly? Not like we low-security concern having right here, you know. As in, Lily, remind your mother to stop leaving knitting needles on the coffee table. We have guests coming." I felt like an intruder, a ticking time bomb of social mistakes. The actual change came once Lily was conceived. A boy, they announced, with a sense of pride and joy that was totally mine as well. I wanted to contribute support, wisdom, sharing the excitement. Yet Mark treated me like an old manual, a relic from the past. He would purchase all the fancy baby gadgets and ignore my recommendations for natural gifted solutions or proven techniques. Lily, who had once hung on every word I said, now referred to Mark's research or expert opinion. That was one night while I was eavesdropping. The nursery was almost done. Lily was a month away. Hours of labor had gone into creating a delicate shawl for the baby. Lily's voice was so quiet when she said, "Mark, my mom wants to help when the baby is born, but then she offered to watch him during the day so that I can go back to work sooner." An absence of sound, then Mark's voice, dispassionate and clinical. "Lily, we've discussed this. We'll hire a professional nanny. Someone with credentials, references. Not a well-meaning person, but really behind the eight ball. In addition," he lowered his voice, "your mother has a tendency to interfere." The quote from Annie, "We need structure. We need limits for our child, not sentimentality." My heart raced within the confines of my ribs. Overstepping? Sentimentality? This was my grandchild. However, what actually hurt was Lily's response. A sigh. "I know, Mark. You're right. Me, I do not want to offend her." Mark waved his hand dismissively. "She always does. She knows what you need, what we need." I quietly returned to my room. The shawl like sex, my hands quivered and fell. This put a twist in the level of betrayal. I was dictated to, filtered, perhaps even inhibited, as my role even as a grandmother. Still a little damp, so I spread them out to dry on a clean towel on the tea towel. The sofa. Mark came home a little earlier than normal. He saw the clothes, then looked and found me in the kitchen, quietly getting a cup of tea. His face darkened. His tone was pitched low and dangerous as he said, "Alara, what is this?" He waved sharply at the couch. "Oh, some clothes for the baby, Mark," I said, my voice steady. They were slightly moist. I figured I'd lay them flat to dry and fold. "You thought they would be aired out?" He scoffed, lifting a baby onesie with 2 fingers as if it were infected. "This is a sofa, Alara, that is custom built. New. Not a laundry rack. This isn't Willow Creek where you can just drop things where you want." My blood began to boil. "Oh, Mark, it's only some baby clothes. They're clean. They won't hurt anything." "Meaning respect, Alara," he growled, his voice getting louder. "Respect for our house, our things, our way of life. You continually disregard them. By treating this as like your own when it is not. This is Lily's and my home. And to be honest, your being here has become inconvenient." Hurt for them both as she could hear the raised voices, and a third voice appeared in the doorway. Lily, her hand on her distended stomach. "What's going on?" Asking more with her eyes, swinging them randomly between us. But whatever destination they were going to, they always ended up on me. Mark sighed and said, "Your mother," in that exasperated tone, "is fucking not getting how it works here. She has to learn about boundaries, Lily." My eyes pleaded with Lily, who has lost the girl who used to defend me, who used to care what I thought. But her face was as blank as the proverbial mask that I hardly recognized. She appeared as a deer in headlights, but loyalty always shines through. Lily spoke up, her voice trembling slightly, but firm. "Mom, Mark is right. We've talked about this. Like, you can't just things without asking. This isn't your house anymore." The words struck me like a physical blow, leaving breathless the wind. Not your house anymore. The house I had basically purchased for them. My life between those 4 walls. The house I had poured every ounce of my future into. How awful it sounded, my heart jumped. And I whispered, "Lily, what are you saying? I only wanted to help. Everything I sacrificed for you, for this house, and more." Eyes aflame, Mark stepped up. And we appreciate it, Ilara. We truly do. But we think it's time you got your own place. This arrangement isn't working. This is definitely not suitable for us and definitely not suitable for our baby who needs a peaceful and consistent environment. I turned back to Lily, wide-eyed and beseeching. Lily, is this what you want? To kick me out? She breathed in deeply, turned away from me, and looked at Mark. Mom, she said with a throat that's inching towards a crack, it's for the best. We need our space. You will enjoy your own place where you can be yourself. But that was just euphemism over the ugly truth. I was being discarded. The daughter I had sacrificed all for was choosing her husband, his desires, his cold ambition over her own flesh and blood, the woman whose life she had taken. Mark said, his voice final, his face completely neutral, "Get out, Ilara. Pack your things. We'll give you a week. Then we will have your things placed in storage. A week to pack a lifetime, untangled from the threads of the mother." Packed. Books mostly, the odd vintage photo album, Arthur's old watch which had seen better days too. The handful of things that still seemed like me. Lily didn't come out of her room, except when she shooed me away with an excited, "Sorry, Mom. You'll see this is for the best." I saw no best. All I spotted was the gaping maw of void. On a Tuesday morning, in the early morn, when the sky was stained in grief pale, I made my way out of that manse, for the very last time. A taxi was awaiting me, summoned by Mark. Lily even couldn't face phoning for it herself. I didn't know where to go. All my savings were lost, consumed by their family investment. My friends, the few who were still talking to me, were old acquaintances from Willow Creek, had busy lives while mine was an empty shell. I found myself in a low-quality hotel room, followed by a homeless shelter, and then some park benches. This city became my sprawling, indifferent home. I pleaded, I scavenged, I bundled myself up in newspaper to ward off the bitter chill. My hair has gone from the same golden color of Lily to bits of white through it that looks as if I melded into a cow dung pile for a while. I used to have soft hands that received lots of lotion in the wintertime. They were now calloused and raw. I tried to call Lily once, a month after I left. Her number was disconnected. Men and women prefer to communicate non-verbally through letters which I sent with my heartache, my emotions, my longing, my devotion. Returned, with the words, "Return to sender." Months turned into a year. The baby was born. I even saw a photo in the society pages once, of Mark beaming, Lily looking otherworldly holding a tiny parcel. A son. My grandson. I held the creased old newspaper to my heart, a searing pain mingling with the longing. He would never know me. What would he know of the story of Ilara Vance, the one that Mark and Lily sent out into the world, carefully constructed by two people who both knew it was all of their design, and the design moved like dark water all around him, existing as his only reality. Ilara Vance vanished. A ghost, maybe an echo, but never a mother? My health deteriorated. The hunger gnawed at my belly, the cold bit at my bones, and the loneliness, that unimaginable, paralyzing loneliness, chipped away at my soul, bit by painful bit. I was always back at the Highlands, lurking in the background, spying on their perfect lives. The shiny car in the drive, the lights on in what used to be my dream of financial freedom, and the outline of a girl who used to be my daughter, her laugh light and frothy. And today, sitting right here on this bench, the frost is not only in the air, but in my soul too. I can sense it spreading, petrifying the last remnants of hope. A dull, throbbing ache, nothing to do with the cold, that radiates from my chest. It's the pain of where something used to be, like the leg you had amputated that you can still feel. The leg that was the tie to Lily, to my future, the leg that was me. I shut my eyes, and for a split second, I am in Willow Creek all over again. Lily, small and bright, bursts out in the tall grass, golden hair flying behind her, her laughter in the afternoon like bells. She calls out, "Mommy, look at me." If I cannot relate, I smile, a real, carefree smile. I know even if my world is tiny, it is whole. The real world seeps back in. The cold cement, the far-off cry of a siren, the nothingness that envelopes me. The sun rises in a bruised purple and gray sky instead of the golden colors that I remember. It indicates yet another day, but deep inside, I feel so exhausted that I wish for a light to extinguish the never-ending pain pouring in. My heart stumbles, a weary bird battering against its aviary. Well, maybe this sunrise will be another one of those. Maybe it could gift to me the last piece, a true release from the icy grip of having given my love so freely, only to receive such an icy destruction in return. When my own daughter turned me out, so this bench where my tale ends, tragic.